We're going to get going. I know we've got some folks being trickled in. I want to go ahead and get the meeting going. And so I want to thank everybody for being here for our summer meeting. As we kind of get through our first year of figuring out a lot of things on the town and gown and how we can take it to the next level and how we can continue to engage. But it's my great honor and privilege to introduce the president of this fine institution here at the University of South Carolina. I just happen to be an alumni for this great university. Somehow it wrote me into staying here as I made my way through life. But with that, Dr. Reedus, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your kind words. Always the success of a university depends 100% on the success of its graduates. So here we are. That's why it's a great institution, because of the great graduates that we have. Welcome everyone to the University of South Carolina. I regret that I was unable to join the first two meetings of this committee, and I apologize for this because of my schedule, and the timing was perfect. Because if this was done last week, we would be all in graduations, and if it's next week or the other week for the next 2 weeks, I'm all over the country meeting graduates, carrying the message for the university. But I stayed in touch. My chiefs of staff were here and immediately let me know when there is a problem or when there is a good thing that we're here. So I look forward to hearing today's discussion firsthand and being here. I appreciate all that you have committed your time and your energy to serve as part of this advisory group. The City of Columbia is fortunate to be home to many outstanding higher education institutions. We are a college town because of the number of institutions that we have, and I think you probably have heard from the mayor before, because I know and I have heard him say, offering an example of how the city benefits greatly from the students that we have. There is a lot of cities that they want to be known as college town, because a college town also means energy, means also workforce development, and also means dollars of the city and what the students bring. If you look around for the next couple of months, Columbia looks empty. And frankly, if you go to all the restaurants and if you go to the hotels, there are very few of them, and even in the restaurants, a lot of them are staff members and our faculty members from the different institutions that we have. So I know that the hospitality sector right now, they're very happy to see August again and to see all the people that they support their businesses. I also want to thank our neighborhood representatives who have committed to ongoing communication with the city and with the universities. This way, having these discussions, we can avoid misunderstanding sometimes, or avoid fear, or sometimes change this fear to people that they are comfortable with starting forward. I also appreciate the engagement of our City of Columbia leaders and their commitment to working alongside all of our higher education institutions to stay apprised of town and gown issues and work cooperatively as a group to address our concerns and again avoid any misunderstandings that may exist. So thank you, welcome to the university. This is one of the oldest areas. It's the Ephraimian community, as they call it. Ephraimian is well speaking of Greek, and this is debates that took place here. We don't have a debate today, but we have a discussion. So thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. President. With that, Ms. Hampton is going to give us an update on the city's participation in the Harvard-Bloomberg leading programs around economic development in cities. Thank you, Ms. Hampton.
Thank you. Good morning. Yes, I'm Krista Hampton. I'm the Director of Planning and Development Services for the City of Columbia, and it's delightful to be here. We were honored and privileged to be selected as a city to participate in the Harvard-Bloomberg program, the inaugural Leading Economic Development for Cities. The Bloomberg Foundation funds quite a few initiatives through Harvard, This one was through the Harvard Kennedy School. And so 5 of us got to go to Boston in January, which was a delight. And however, we didn't need to worry about the weather because they worked us pretty hard. But we each had to come with a challenge, and it was 12 cities across the United States and one from Turku, Finland. And our challenge was how to retain and attract talent. And so that includes students, and it was primarily students. And so I'm giving you this update because it's going to lead in the future to a request. So part of our strategy that we're developed and we continue to develop is how do we retain those students? Some of it was through quality of life, and so we're looking at how we are pursuing the riverfront development, including affordable housing, because if we want folks to stay, they need a place to live and stay. And so, but then we want to figure out how we can match graduates with industry here. So that's going to require a survey of both our students, what are they looking for, what talents do they have, as well as our industries, what type of talent, so we can make sure that those matches are there. In addition, and this was assisted by our mayor, what are those gap industries that could help our existing industries grow and that might help attract some of that talent. So in addition to a technology hub corridor and a number of other initiatives that will go into this, we will be soliciting your assistance to contact your students and to see how we can gauge, what would it take for you to stay here, both from a job perspective as well as from a quality of life perspective. So please be on the lookout for that. We have finished the main part of the program, but if you have any questions about that, I'd be delighted to inform you. So thank you.
Hey y'all, thank you for coming and convening for our 3rd meeting of the year. We have made it, which is very exciting. If you haven't met me, I'm Peyton Lang. I'm Mayor Rickman's policy advisor and had the privilege of helping ignite this first group. My update is about something we've talked about a few times in this group, which is the Mayor's Collegiate Engagement Council, which just wrapped up its 3rd year. This is made up of representatives of students from all colleges and universities in the city, and they meet once a month with the mayor over dinner, and we just bring up what's going on in the city and get their feedback. One thing that's been really big, though, is every year they want to know more and more about what's happening in our city. And so we had a few representatives at different meetings. Brianna's here. She is one of them on the Collegiate Engagement Council and then serves as their liaison to this committee. But we just wanted to kind of give a little report of what we heard from them so this group can be informed, and then also let us know how you may want to engage with them more and have more student participation. I think the parking panel in the last meeting went really well, and it's the truth hurts sometimes, but it helps you move forward. And so would love to gauge your interest in that. But this group, a couple of things. They hosted the first annual Columbia Talent Retention Fair, where we had a requirement for businesses that participated in this hiring fair to be local in the Midlands and have open positions ready. So no just spreading the word, you're hiring at this fair. And so we had that. We had over 280 students from all 6 colleges and universities attend. We had 50 employers, and we're excited to announce the second one will be this fall. We'll make sure this group gets it at the Convention Center on October 21st. So we're getting the details ironed out, but we'd love to increase this. A few faculty from universities and colleges shared that they wanted to know more about this, so we really do need to lean into y'all to spread the word about this. I think the students read their emails, but it never hurts to reinforce it through other methods of circulation. The other initiative that this group did was the pop-up market at Soda City. It's in its 3rd year. This is a day every year where students can have a free booth at Soda City and experiment with their entrepreneurship, their marketing skills. So we held that this year. We had a great turnout, and we'll continue to do that. Please promote it within your groups. Coach Staley stopped by this year. So a lot of students got to walk away saying that Coach Staley bought their items and their services and goods, which was pretty cool. And then the final thing this group's been working on is having student days, and not just USC student days, not just Allen and Benedict student days, whatever they are, student days where around our community, students can go for free and intermix and intermingle and do fun things. So they went to the museum, they went to the zoo, they did the riverfront. So we'd love to continue to connect and collaborate on those, but then again, spreading the word. So the common theme at our end of the year dinner is they want to know about it, and we're evidently not doing the best job. So working together on that, we will keep having a representative on this group, but please let us know if you have any ideas to engage with the Collegiate Engagement Council. We had different groups come share their strategic plans, get feedback on walkability, different things, and they are not afraid to speak their mind. And I am nowhere near wise and older, and they make me feel a little old because of some of their ideas. So please engage with us and let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Peyton, for that update. With that, I'd like to introduce our Chief of Police, Mr. Chief Skip Holbrook, along with Major White, who's in charge of our Community Service Bureaus, and David Hatcher, Director of our Code Enforcement. They're going to give us a little update on our Ambassador Program, Code Enforcement, and a few other statistics and numbers, and open it from there for discussion. That Chief, I'm going to give you this.
Yeah, good. Yes, sir. So I'm thank you for having me, Mr. President, Mayor. This is, we've been very honored to participate in this, with this group, and I think it's very important. You know, what you're going to hear this morning is a little bit about how we intersect with the neighborhoods and the schools, and I got to tell you, in my 11 years, I think we are at, if you consider all the growth that we see, and everything that's going on with our city, how we have shifted a lot of downtown living. We know that this university and our other institutions have grown and become part of the neighborhoods. How we strike that balance between the growth, the safety, the neighborhoods, continue to have their identity, their rich traditions. I think it's an always evolving process, and we are part of that process, and we know that. And having code enforcement under the Director Hatcher oversee under the police department has been a fantastic addition to our agency. We know code enforcement goes hand in glove with crime prevention and helping mitigate things that lead to crime. And then Major White's over our Community Services Bureau, he's going to talk a little bit about just general safety and again how that affects our students. But I will say this: I grew up in a university town. I policed in Charlotte, and in the 11 years I've seen here, I see constant collaboration, mutual respect. There's so much energy and so many different people from different walks of life bring, I think, constructive input to how we can better interact and grow as a city with our university. That's what makes Columbia so unique, I think, is our state government being here in our colleges and universities, and how all that intersects. This is a very special place, and it's super exciting what's going on right now. I get to work with people like Chris Wuchnick. Our relationship with our universities from a public safety standpoint is seamless. It really is. And we have a very special relationship with law enforcement in the Midlands in general. The university sees it often when we have major events. It is not just the Columbia Police Department. You see really city, county, state, and federal law enforcement that always come together. And it's all about protecting our citizens and making sure that our students and visitors have just a great experience and they're safe. And they want to either come back to Columbia or they want to make Columbia their home. So, good morning and thank you for having us. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Good morning. My name is David Hatcher. I'm the Director of Code Enforcement for the City of Columbia. There is a broken windows theory that states that blight leads to crime. If you can reduce blight, you can reduce crime. The Code Enforcement Division was merged into the Columbia Police Department back in 2014 under the direction of Ms. Wilson, the City Manager, Ms. Wilson. We ultimately report to, as the Chief said, we report to Chief Skip Holbrook. We have been working hand in hand fighting blight and reducing crime ever since 2014. Today I'll go in greater depth about what our role is in code enforcement and the student population, provide some details on move-out procedures, and discuss some key things for students to think about for the upcoming school year. Code enforcement plays a vital role in communities. We support and enhance quality of life by fighting blight, enforcing health and safety standards to protect our citizens, which leads to safe communities and contributes to community pride and enjoyment. It also helps to build and maintain property values. The primary role of the Code Enforcement Division is to enforce the laws and ordinances passed by the City Council that affect the general quality of life and safety of our citizens. We also enforce the city's rental and vacant building ordinances, and we control the mosquito and rat population throughout the city. What do we look for when we go to properties? The property maintenance related issues that we enforce can be broken into two categories. First, the premise area, the exterior area of the property, and then the structure itself and everything within. For the exterior premise area, we generally look for anything from overgrown grass, litter and debris, illegal dumping, front yard parking, roll carts, and abandoned area vehicles, among many, many other things. For the structure itself, we're looking for everything from peeling paint, rotten wood, broken windows, and any life safety violations such as electrical hazards or fire hazards. We want to ensure the structure is safe for occupancy. Any accessory building or fencing is also looked at as part of our structural review of the property. If we find violations, most of the time the structural violations are going to be against the property owner or the landlord. The most common violations we have with students is generally trash and debris in yards. Parking in the front yard is a big one. Or generally parking on the street, blocking somebody's driveway is a big complaint. Roll carts being left out, and loud parties and over occupancy. As the chief had mentioned, with the coordination with us in the police department, code enforcement can act as a force multiplier for law enforcement, fire protection, and environmental health as we bring all those aspects together. Again, blight can attract criminal activity, so we fight blight with police in many ways. However, one of the most direct and critical ways is through what is referred to as CEPTED. CEPTED stands for Crime Prevention Through Environmental Design. With this program, we may look at an individual property or we may look at an entire community. And while we do that, we look for attributes that can attract criminal activity. This can be anything from overgrowth, fencing, illegal dumping, inadequate lighting, signage, and vacant structures. We put all these findings into a report, and then that report can be used for a plan of action to address these issues. In addition to CEPTED, we often will assist police with targeted enforcement in high crime areas. With the concentrated patrol of police officers and our increased enforcement of all property code violations within a specific area over a specific time, generally we have proven results that reduce crime in those areas. And lastly, we ensure the vacant buildings are registered, secure, and free from vagrants. Many times we will demolish any structures that have been attractive nuisance for criminal activity or vagrants. And we also assist police, or they assist us mostly, with our efforts of cleaning up the unsheltered camps throughout the city. So how do we benefit tenants? Our goal is to ensure that everyone can have a safe environment to live and work. We advocate for tenants and students' rights to live in a safe and suitable place and their overall quality of life. We often get calls from tenants or students about issues with the living conditions where they are at. Most of the time they have a lack of response from their landlord. We will take a look at the property, we'll do an inspection, and we'll encourage the landlord to address the issues. We also educate students on code and ordinances throughout the city. And this is done through several ways, but in August we try to hang a friendly door reminder, door hanger on everybody's door in neighborhoods where we know there's a lot of students to kind of tell them what the rules are. We also attend any university-sponsored events where we can set up a booth and have handouts for students. All of this is to ensure that they have a safe living environment. Besides all the code violations, we also try to encourage students to be a good neighbor. In addition to a safe living environment, we want to encourage them to be a good neighbor. When they respect and get involved in their respective communities, they become better neighbors and draw less attention to themselves. The goal should be to not draw attention to yourself as we try to teach them. If you throw a large and loud party, park all over your front yard, if you leave beer cans all over the front yard, you're going to draw attention to yourself, and we're probably going to get a call or an email. We're going to have to go out and address the issue and take some action. Some of our collaboration efforts. While we have many collaborative roles with various entities throughout the city, some more notable ones are working with our own internal departments to conduct neighborhood quality of life sweeps throughout the city. This generally includes the solid waste, zoning, animal services, forestry, police, and fire. We will identify a neighborhood generally at the request of a neighborhood leader, and we'll spend a week with all these city resources trying to address any violations or issues with those neighborhoods. We try to conduct at least one a month from April to about October each year. We also collaborate on a regular basis with neighborhood leaders to address the needs and concerns of their respective residents. And we work with Richland County and DHEC to minimize the mosquito population in the area. And one of the more notable collaborations with the University of South Carolina and the USC Ambassador Program. In 2023, we were approached by USC, Ms. Bess and Ms. Edwards to see what we could do about neighborhood concerns with the new campus village area. More specifically, they were interested in after-hours enforcement of city codes in the area. Out of that, the USC Ambassador was born. We have 2 inspectors assigned Thursday, Friday, and Saturday each night from 10 p.m. till 2:30 a.m. during the school year, and they're hired and paid for by the university to monitor the designated areas near Campus Village. The objectives of this new program were to encourage and report student behavior and enhance the quality of life for university and local communities. General city code enforcement of certain violations, specifically parties, loud noise, trash, and parking. And to enhance partnerships with USC PD and Columbia PD in responding to calls for service and campus student incidents. In the first year, we issued over 1,200 parking citations and warnings. We initiated 190 code enforcement cases. We made contact with over 100 students, and we addressed 14 parties. In the second year, the one we just finished, we issued 930 parking citations and warnings, initiated over 115 code enforcement cases, and we made contact with over 30 students and addressed 17 parties. I am hopeful we will continue this program in the future and possibly even expand the boundary to cover more area. And now what you all probably been waiting to hear is the move-out procedures. So what we try to provide these general guidelines to students or any tenant really when we're talking to them. You should always leave the unit at least the same or better than what you found it. We want to make sure you can get your deposit back. Also report any outstanding code violations or life safety issues to us before moving out. That way we can try to get those addressed before the next tenants move in. You can do this by calling our office at 803-545-3430, or you can email us at codeenforcement@columbiasc.gov, or you can download the city's new MyCola SC app and report a violation there. I think I missed a slide there. I also spoke with Solid Waste. They announced that they are continuing a program that they started last year where they're offering expedited collection services for move-out piles during the months of May, June, and July. The residents are encouraged to contact Solid Waste prior to leaving the debris outside. If you do this, they'll try to have it removed within 24 to 48 hours if you call them. Items that can be placed in these piles can include anything from clothing, dishes, furniture, bedding, storage bins, artwork, and wall hangings, cleaning tools, and then bulky plastics such as coolers, buckets, and garbage cans. The solid waste phone number to do that is 803-545-3800. And then finally, just looking ahead for next year, we encourage all students to do research before they sign a lease. I can't tell you how many times I get a call from an angry parent in late August, early September, trying to break the lease that their student got into because of code violations or unsafe living conditions. If you ever have doubt, if the student ever has doubt or the parent ever has doubt, they can contact us, and we're more than happy to tell them everything we know about any particular landlord. We'll share any issues with those particular units. We're happy to share that information. And then, we'll always continue to educate students on behavior and what it is to be a good neighbor. With that, I'd like to turn it over to my immediate supervisor, Major White.
Can I just add something to that? Go ahead, Chris. So I hope you all join me in congratulating you. So, code enforcement's oftentimes like our parking team. They're not the most welcome people when they show up, because it's always, kind of violation driven or enforcement driven, but when we call this the ambassador program, that's what it is, and they really have done just that. You've got to put this in context. When you look at some of those numbers, you're like, wow, that's a lot. It is not. I can tell you, Chris will back me up on this. We're not perfect, Dr. Gaddis. It's always work. Always work. We got to work on things all the time. But I can tell you, and I hope you would agree, we've come a long way in terms of student conduct and how we interact with our neighborhoods and our neighbors. It's really amazing and these students are respectful. So yeah, they're going to do what kids do, but when our ambassadors engage with them, law enforcement, they are receptive. And they do what they're told for the most part. Our house parties have significantly reduced, significantly. And when you think of the growth and just the student life that now we have in downtown, we're not experiencing conduct issues. And I think that says a lot about the leadership in this room. I think it speaks to the messaging and us trying to stay ahead of the issues. But I couldn't be more pleased with this ambassador program and just the work of our code enforcement. Because law enforcement cannot solve all these problems. It has to be very collaborative, and we have to think differently. And I think code enforcement helps us do that. So thank you, Ken.
May I ask a question? I saw the numbers, 930 parking violations over a year, right?
Yes, sir.
And if we take this, let's say the students are here for 7 months, right? And you divide by 7 and you divide by 30 days per month, that means 4 parking violations per day. Right? Is this a big deal in terms of this area with 4 violations per day in terms of parking?
So when we talk about parking violations, it's really it's the same. Parking, this kind of also attaches some this code violations, that is parking in front yards, parking the wrong way on the street, parking up on curbs and on sidewalks. Now, those are violations, and the vast majority of these are warnings. And I think that's really important to know. It's about education, because our infrastructure really it's not aligned perfectly with growth. And what I mean by that is we have narrow streets.
I'm still asking, is 4 big numbers per day?
Yeah. But we have narrow streets, so sometimes you're parking up on the curb, so your mirror doesn't get knocked off. The front yard parking is an issue that we're going to have to address better with landlords and students. You can't do that, and that's because everybody's got a car, and you've got multiple tenants in a structure, and it's the building apartment or whatever doesn't have the capacity for parking, so it's a challenge. And then roll parks. A lot of the violations are related to roll parks, and you're supposed to put the roll parks out for solid waste to pick up, and then you take them back, but they sit out, and that is not a good look for any neighborhood. So those the violations are, somewhat of a big number. If you do the math, it's not, that's the point I was trying to make. It's a number, but I think it represents significant improvement from just a few years ago.
And it sounds like when you're looking at the practice, the calls that you get is 1 or 2 a month.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good morning. All right, Major Chris White, Columbia Police. Chief said earlier that we do collaboration with all the area law enforcement. And this is mentioned to students when they come on campus, particularly the freshmen during the school year from the university, Benedict College, Allen University, Milton's Tech, Columbia College. And at Columbia Police Department, we do a roundtable discussion with students together from each area of schools. And one of the things we talk about is campus safety and personal safety. So some brief things today, campus safety. We're in a technology age. Carry a cell phone with you. Carry your cell phone. Remain aware of your surroundings. Know what's around you when you're out and about. Reduce distraction with headphones and cell phones. So some people are good at it, walking and listening and texting. I'm not, but reduce the distractions around you. Familiarize yourself with the campus. Know where your emergency call boxes are. Know how to use them, and they're pretty much self-explanatory. Mash the button. Someone will come over the intercom, and you tell them what your need is. Also, when you familiarize yourself, call boxes, but inside the dorms, inside the buildings for classroom, know where your exits are. Take extra precautions at night. Let somebody know, if you're going out for a little bit, have that buddy system. Hey, I'm going here. I should be back such and such time. Keep check with each other. Personal safety. If an active violent incident occurs, you start run, hide, fight, or avoid. Run, hide, fight, also scream. Be as loud as you can. If it's a situation, if you're in a building or something, and if you have to barricade yourself, barricade yourself. Talk with your campus police officers, your residential advisors. Wear light colored clothing or reflective gear, especially at night when running, biking. That makes a world of difference. You just want to be on the safe side for yourself and the other person that's out there. Use well-lit routes and travel in groups. So a lot of people like to go out walking. Maybe students go to the store, people in the community. Use that buddy system. Let's travel together. Consider carrying a noise-making device. One of the things my wife and I did with our daughter when she got when she got her apartment, bought all kinds of safety measures. And my wife purchased this loud, looked like a small can, but it's a horn. But just something for, safety, reliability. Report suspicious activity. If it's suspicious to you or you're thinking about it, let law enforcement, let campus police know about it. Call 911 or activate that emergency phone box on campus. It's there for a reason. With schools and colleges and tech universities that was mentioned, build relationships with students, university staff, city partners, and residents. Education schools, they provide apps, and the apps are for school bulletin, alerts, and additional information. So it's a reminder for the students, look at that, stay up to date on the information that's provided. Community safety. If you're in the school, student within the community and on campus, participate at your school's safety meetings. Consider participating at your local community meetings where there's generally an officer who will provide crime trends in that area for awareness. At all the schools that's mentioned, that's in the city of Columbia, there are community meetings every month. And at all those community meetings, not only we have officer that's assigned to that community, but we have a code enforcement representative that's assigned there also. Show up, just listen. You get good updates. Not only that deals with that community, but also that school, that education that's right there in that corridor. Giving money to panhandlers can be detrimental for several reasons. Cash donations won't solve the underlying issues causing panhandling, and they can inadvertently encourage further begging. So if we constantly, giving money out to panhandlers, that's what they're constantly going to do. They're going to constantly ask. It encourages further panhandling. Giving money directly may not help the person in the long run if they are struggling with addiction, mental illness, or other issues. So before I began this job just a few years ago, I was one that was giving money out constantly. I got this job and was in training and then on my own, and some of the same people I was giving money to, I was seeing them again. And then unfortunately, I would have to do my job as a police officer and then sit there and try to offer help to them and resources. Giving money to panhandlers can be detrimental for several reasons. Panhandlers could put you in risk of theft or violence. Giving money could increase the likelihood of such incidents. Instead of giving cash, consider supporting organizations that offer services like food banks, shelters, or counseling. So, I don't have any money, but I can tell you where to go, or this is what this organization is offering. Sometimes people take advantage of it, sometimes people don't. Coordinated feeding organizations for the unsheltered and others in need. This is a good program right here, the Rapid Shelter of Columbia. Rapid Shelter is a cluster of 50 pallet units where residents get their own private space, bed, and storage, giving people the transitional shelter support and a sense of security they need to recover and resist their lives. This particular program serves individuals 18 and older, but trying to help people get on their feet. They provide transportation, access to laundry, shower facilities, 3 meals a day, a 90-day program, intensive case management, on-site partners, and community resources. A few things that's offered to them as they're trying to gain employment, gain housing for apartments. Some of the things that's offered, and they work with them through, is primary health care, dental health, eye care, mental health services, substance support, education, peer support, counseling therapy, home health assistance, financial literacy, employment training, life skills, household management, effective communication, managing conflict. There's a whole lot more. But also at the same time, our unsheltered that do not make it to this program, local police, university police, college police, we offer some type of resources for those that are unsheltered, tell them where to go, and different organizations that wants to help them out. I'm done.
Thank you, sir. Thank y'all all for, we're going to go into some open discussion, and I wanted to thank y'all for, David, I did want to dive in a little bit as we talk about move in and move out dates. One of the things we talked about is maybe staging dumpsters across different neighborhoods. Is that still a possibility for us to do?
So I'm told by solid waste that they no longer do that. They tried it the first year, but they weren't really used as much as they anticipated, so they don't do that. So now they have the expedited, you can call ahead and get it.
I'd like us to try to revisit that, but possibly if we're allowing people to know ahead of time, this is where I think engagement with our landlords, over the next several months, we're going to engage some folks to help us really get some true data. There's a lot of rumors about how many rental units are here, what's student, what's others, and so we're going to put an end to the information and get true data points. Bring in a third-party survey to go through across the city, because this isn't just a one-area discussion; it's a citywide discussion looking at the rental units. Obviously, we want to continue to create home ownership, but we also have big rental needs and understanding how that affects, but with real data points. Unlike, right now, there's a lot of misinformation that creates angst across our neighborhoods, and so we got to have real data points that show exactly what's where and how we can possibly address that together in the future. But also, as future development comes up, there are areas that we can spread things out so we can create some balance, and I think that will help us continue as we grow, because we're going to grow. This city's going to grow. We're growing by 28 people a day in the Midlands. Why? Because people want to live here. They want to live here because of the quality of life. And we're going to continue to do that. We're going to watch the balance. It's also going to help us look in the future too. It was very interesting to listen to the parking discussion. Obviously, the violations that David was talking about, the neighborhood violations, not parking in the streets. But even that number is relatively low to what it's been in the past. It doesn't match up to a lot of the discussions we're having otherwise. So it's going to be good for us to look at that. And as we think about the future, as housing developments go, and some of the other discussions that we're having now really is looking at our rental permit. David, I think one of the things we're going to talk about is how do we expand that permit with information. Also understanding if somebody's renting the students, that's not a problem. I don't have a problem with that. But what we do need to know is that all of the people who are on the lease, that everybody who lives there is on the lease, and really making things transparent. And I think upgrading some of those permit styles will really help us in the future. But I think the survey is going to be our first step that will really help us understand what the growth patterns are and how we address it together as a community, because we're going to continue to grow. The city's going to grow, rental's going to grow. Hopefully home ownership is going to continue to grow by the efforts that we're all doing together. But the reality is we got a lot of empty lots across the city, and there's a lot of opportunity for growth, and I think we want to grow together. We want to have really great, strong neighborhoods. We want strong universities across. Allen's growing, Benedict's growing, Columbia College is growing, and their housing needs are as well. So this isn't just a University of South Carolina issue. This is why we're having these discussions and part of this. And I'm excited that we have opportunities to create a balance and work together. And we're going to just start doing that. But we've got to engage more. And as part of the safety, I want to say that, our student councils, both the advocacy council here at the university and our student collegiate engagement council, talked about safety issues. They pointed out lighting areas across the city where we can improve and said, hey, this is our walk patterns. These are where we're going to the store. This is where we're going, to socialize, and why it's dark and how we do that. Same thing we do with our neighborhoods, engaging that, but we need feedback and discussions. And the more discussions I think we have about these issues, the more we can create a better balance. That not everything's going to be the way, everybody wants, but the reality is that there are good discussion points that allow us to move forward. And I think the ambassador program, I hope we can expand it. I think this is something that, I think the city, as part of our budget process right now, I want to see some more funding go in to balance so that we can create it more, because I do think it makes a huge difference. I think it's the reason why those parking violations are lower. I think that's why we're seeing less house parties. We're seeing less violations out there. And you think about the bulk of what I saw in the code enforcement, it's really not parking, it's roll carts and other things. It's also a way for us to make sure that people aren't taking advantage of people. Code enforcement issues, just slapping a coat of paint on something but not addressing all the issues in there. I do want to work on the waste side, because I do think we're missing an opportunity to eliminate some of that, because it's not just student move in and move out, it's evictions as well. Because the reality is, a lot of our housing violations are not students, they're other folks. So we got to think about how we address that, because to me, I do struggle when a landlord just evicts somebody and they throw everything outside and it becomes our responsibility to deal with it. I think we've got to create a better balance there, because it does affect them. I think it has a negative connotation on neighbors when things are left outside and dumping is, we've been going after as well. And some of our neighborhoods have become targets of that, where people just think they can come in there. But this is where I think we can work together and engage our neighborhoods and our student population to help eliminate some of that, because they see things too, because they're walking around, they're creating life. Their impact is important, but I want them to be a part of the table. So, we got to continue that dialogue. With that, I'll leave it open to anybody else who would like to bring up any subject.
Mayor, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Son, what's in the news said about the survey for the tree on the rental and the neighborhoods?
Yeah.
That timeline, or when that might happen?
We're trying to identify somebody right now. Kristen and I already had started discussions in that, trying to find the right group that can help us really good, because we're gonna start with the surrounding neighborhoods around each of the colleges and universities. And it'll give us a good feel of what the balance is. We hear some people say, well, my whole neighborhood's run over. Well, let's see what the real data is. And what are the truth there? But where the balance is, how do we create some impacts there? We can look at further guidelines down the road, how we help create a balance, because the balance is what's going to make us healthy. And I think there's a great way to do that. But we need true data, because right now, some of the stuff, is not real. So we got to have real data.
Yeah, that's all. We got our neighborhoods, we talk about that constantly. So, and speaking of David, after you talked about the reduction in numbers of violations, do y'all track that on a neighborhood basis? Like, I know you say it's down year over year, and it is down every year, and I can see that anecdotally in my neighborhood, but I still have a bunch of people come to me saying it's increasing. I didn't know if we had like neighborhood specific citation data that you could push out to certain people.
We actually do. If you go to the Columbia PD website, go down to public data initiatives. I don't know exactly without it in front of me, but down at the bottom there's a mapping of code enforcement data, and it actually should show you all the rental properties and all the code enforcement related area. Any open cases we've done in the last 60 days, and any open cases we've done longer, it should show up.
Everything's there. It's listed. You can pull it up by neighborhood.
I'll get a link circuit there.
But, and I think having the true data and constantly sharing it, because, some of the meetings that we've had, I'm hearing stories from 5 years ago. I don't have time for that. We need to focus on what's doing, so we see the improvements. So how do we take what we're doing now that's working and continue to improve it? So that's what we're doing. Yes, ma'am.
Two things. One, the other day I sat in on a meeting at the Presbyterian Church, and there were numerous representations from our police force, but it was filled almost to capacity, standing room only of representatives from neighborhoods in the city. One of the suggestions I wanted to make for future meetings is that if there is a way to, and I want to thank our president for being here. The fact that you are president says volumes. I think there's an opportunity to share with USC administration some of the sentiments that evolved out of that meeting. So I don't know if that's a smaller meeting or smaller gathering, but what did come up was that it was clear, and was not asked to be the designee. I don't even know if there's any other community representatives in the room. But that being said, there was a continuation of a request to talk more intimately with USC leadership. One of the questions, and I was scrolling through my email that came up and I missed it, so I use this also as an opportunity to say that and this came from the president of Wheeler Hill neighborhood. He was asking me, has the town in Gown discussed USC wanting to build a senior housing community on campus? I said, I don't know. But with that, this is an opportunity just for me to pose a question. It may come up in subsequent meetings. I don't have any opinion. I mean, I love senior, I'm a senior myself, contrary to popular opinion. But I think the question was out, that and several other things were out there. So, really, it addresses your conversation about bridging communication, addressing disinformation and misinformation that seems to be rampant. And I think if there's a smaller, intimate conversation about USC's vision for the future, its development, and how it plays into the city's plan, I think it might kill some of the discontent or at least address some of the discomfort that people are feeling.
And I will tell you, I'm not going to speak for the president, but, you know, I think having those conversations are great. It's having them with the right people. Because some of the folks that are outspoken are also the folks that are providing a lot of misinformation out there, to the point that we're spending a lot of time having to counter that, and a lot of staff time, in other words, where we could be focusing on things that actually make a better impact. And so
I'm not sure they've ever heard it that way, and I think if that is the case, it should be heard, that there should be.
Don't worry, I'll deliver the message.
Yeah.
Because I do think it's important, and I think that our open line of communication it is, and there can be some really great suggestions. And to answer your senior question, there is an RFP out, and it's a request for proposals to look at the old Carolina Gardens and what could be, but there's a lot of steps and a lot of stages to get there before we're there, and there's so many adjustments that need to be made and others. But I think you'll find that the communication will be broad and open, especially around that subject. But I think, Dr. Gaddis, for us, I think we've got to find the right people to have the right conversation. Mike, I'm going to lean on you a little bit for being one of those people. He lives in the Rose Garden neighborhood, good representative of that area, but you can have some dialogue there. So we'll work on that together.
There is a big poverty there, that we get dorms for graduate students, the neighborhood completed, so they don't have students there. You can imagine there's a deep water there. But if we leave it as it is, it will become a problem eventually. So all that we did is we put an RFP out for developers, not for the university, but the university not going to be involved for developers. And that's what the mayor likes, because they pay taxes in these cities. And we asked, how, right out of the mindset, do you have any ideas? That's all.
Well, and let me be clear, I have no skin in the game, if you will. It was a question that was posed to me because I guess part of my role here, and what was asked along with other representatives is to voice and to bring to the attention of the group things that are being said that may not surface in this room. And so, whether or not the decision, an RFP is out, and the decision has been made to pursue that as an avenue, I think that's innovative, I think it's needed. Senior housing is a critical issue. But yet the question came to me, I brought it forward. My bigger suggestion is and totally in agreement, that with the right voices, with the right agendas, that a smaller, more intimate conversation of people to just put a stop to a lot of the discomfort that is preventing us from moving forward.
That's why we want to do the survey.
Yes.
So it's got real information to have conversations and not, well, I think this, or I know this, or, you know. And we just got to get to the point where we're talking about facts, not fiction.
I think that one person heard about the RFP, for example, for the housing, but your statement about the RFP coming out to quantify specific information should be used as an underpinning. I don't think the community is aware that that is the case. So again, that's back to how do we get a channel of information from the office so we can tell folks, this is what's out here, this is the attempts that's being made to clear
Yeah, I will
up.
tell you, I had this discussion with one of those folks at that meeting, so they should have disseminated that to the crowd.
Okay,
Just saying.
And sometimes there are disagreements within the, when we were building, and I was not here, I understand this, but okay, right? But when we were building the campus buildings, there were members of the neighborhood, they said, you need to put a lot of parking spaces because we don't want to put parking anywhere else. There were others who were saying, we need to have a smaller number of parking because we don't want to have traffic in the field. So even there are these balances that we have played, cannot satisfy everybody. As I'm sure you may disagree with anyone there completely.
But I do think that we can populate and I think that's kind of why we want to do the survey and some other things, so that we really talking about something planning together to move forward. So there's a great opportunity. This is only the beginning, and I think a subset of this will help. But, you know, we also have to remember that this issue, from rentals and other challenges and issues in every neighborhood across. So whatever we do, we're doing something for the city as a whole, all 144,000 folks, not just the neighborhood. All different ones. Any other?
One observation is that if I may, I want to go back to the beginning. Now we take our countries.
Yep.
If you look at what the distribution of our countries are, at this point, the university has 340,000 living over now. 60,000 of them are in Richmond, residential houses. That is 45,000 are in Greenville, and over 40,000 are in Summer. If you go back 15 years, the numbers were there was significant growth. So why are they going to Greenville? Why are they going to Summer? Because they're high-paying jobs. And that's what we need. If you manage to do that, then the quality of life, which means schools, which means healthcare delivery, is going to be massive. The university has everything that we can. We are the highest employer. The University of South Carolina does very well. The rest of the universities also. We are the highest employer as a sector here. We need to continue helping the others gain good jobs, and that's what we have had this discussion. Some of them who are in Charlotte or in Greenville, they may want to come back if we give them the opportunities.
Well, I will tell you, I think one of the challenges that we have is that we allow other cities in our state and bordering states to out-trump us in the thought process that it's a better place to be. We were a little bit of Eeyore in the old Winnie the Pooh outfit. We doubted ourselves. That no longer is the conversation. And I think what you've seen is by telling our story, engaging more with our students. I spend more time with students on campuses. The intern fair that we did, why did we do that? Because the students told us they didn't know what jobs were available here. They didn't even know half the employers here. Well, that's not their fault, that's our fault. That's our fault as leaders, that's our fault as business community. That's why we took groups of these students, meeting with the Midlands Business Leadership Group. Hey guys, y'all think y'all were reaching out, but listen to all these students, they don't even know you exist. So that's part of our plan is engaging more because I think we missed that opportunity to get them to get outside the 6 block bubble, realize what we really have as a community and the opportunities. And I think that's going to help us because there are a lot of great paying jobs here. But what's the number one characteristic a lot of these folks will live for? Downtown living. We don't have that like we do in South End and Charlotte. Downtown Greenville, let's be honest, is one strip. But what they've done is gone vertical and provided housing with amenities. these young professionals are not looking for a single-family home anymore. They're looking for a smaller unit with amenities where they can walk to work, they can walk to entertainment, and that's what we're working on. The core campus is partnering to build 27 stories of professional along with student housing on the backside, which will create, 1,000 more people downtown. And guess what? We need 15,000 more people living downtown. In towers, we got a diameter of empty parking lots in this city that we got to develop. So this is on us to keep those there. It's not just the jobs, it's the housing that's driving, because that's how they're making their decision. Quality of life is going a little bit above pay for everybody today. I think this is the hangover from COVID. But I do think our opportunity to take the alumni network and bring businesses here is absolutely an opportunity that we haven't explored, and I appreciate the leadership on it. I appreciate Dean Berner and the other folks, the other deans who are embracing that concept. I mean, we've been to Europe where we met with the alumni, so we had over 125 alumni in Seoul, Korea show up. Every one of them has this passion for this community. And now they want to figure out how their companies can do business and create opportunities here. So I think we're on the right path. Thank you.
And they're going to be in New York, South Carolina, also next week, typically events, Washington, D.C., New York, and they're all sold down the first week, and they're hundreds. We need
So we need to send a booth with a realtor and welcome packets and everything else. Anybody else have anything else to add to the open? I know we got some other items to get on to the fall meeting. Peyton, you want to take over from here?
Sure, this kind of continues the discussion. So obviously we finished our first inaugural year of the Town and Gown at the conclusion of today's meeting. We will go into year 2. Everyone that's appointed was a 2-year appointment because, as we all know, we're just getting started with this conversation. And now I've turned over. So this group will also be the one that sets the standard for the next year. So higher level, some of the meeting topics that have been brought up throughout the year that we haven't covered include strategic plans, sharing visions. I know every institution has a different vision, and maybe how there's synergy, bringing those up. The other one that has been documented is the student-friendly events in Columbia, so neighborhood and businesses. That would take some creative staff work, but we're here to serve and to make it productive, if that's of interest. Are there any topics or comments for the next year? I know one thing that's also on the docket is public safety, but we want to make sure every institution has the opportunity to not only come prepared, but to bring whoever's in charge of that from their institution. So we've delayed that to next year, especially going into the summer. So also your feedback on what time of year to have that would be appreciated.
I would add maybe that we have, one of the things that came out from a lot of the student conversation has been the cost of housing. And so how they really like us to try to work together to provide options, because not all students can live in high rises and others. How we can work with all our institutions to come up with solutions to make sure that every person has an opportunity to take part here locally and kind of look at the housing costs in general. And some of that will come out of in the surveys where they'll just see what costs are where and how that plays in future growth of each campus as well. I know each campus is looking to continue to invest in student housing for more and more students want to live here and close on campus. So I think that should be something to talk about as well.
Any other topics from the group?
I think we've spent a lot of time with student engagement and communication, but it's going to continue to be our challenge. There's just a lot of, I don't know what I don't know. I'm in a new city, especially for the students that aren't from Columbia. So anything that we can do to continue to advance that, I think has to remain a top priority.
Awesome. Well, we will get these on deck. Is there a desired first topic?
So John Wright, Allen University. One of the topics I believe should be on there is definitely the unity of Columbia among all of our students. I'm hearing a lot, the student engagement, but a lot of times our students really don't feel like they belong. So they go to 5 Points, they go to Vista, but all they hear is the University of South Carolina, University of South Carolina. And so on campus, we happen to, tell them, show them that this is also your home. So I would like for us to also discuss how we can bring all the universities together for the student bodies to show the students that it is the University of South Carolina, it is Benedict College, it is definitely Allen University, along with Columbia College as well. So all the students can be in one, even though they may go to different institutions of higher learning.
100%, and I think we can tie some of these together and bring an emphasis on that and maybe have student reps for that conversation. Similar to how we would bring public safety to each, maybe we could bring a student leader from each institution. Well, that's great. The final big question is day of the week for all of you wonderful leaders in our community. There's never a perfect week of the year. I've learned that. That's my growth moment from this. But is there a best day? I do believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, morning is the best. It's because you get caught up upon lunch and there's no going back. But is there a best day or a day to avoid? Oh yeah, no Fridays or Mondays, don't worry.
Maybe every other Tuesday, so just pick it.
Was there something that wasn't working in this?
I think just higher ed has a lot of great things going on, and so when we're collaborating so many wonderful people, we're managing a little bit. So just trying to identify, maybe there's I know, for example, Wednesday nights in the city of Columbia, we have a strong faith community. That's not our best community event night, so I didn't know if there was a day that's not the best meeting day.
Now, y'all have ended up giving us enough notice. I mean, that's what we can ask for to plan around, so.
Schedule for the whole year, maybe? That was awesome. Final thing, does anyone want to host our fall meeting into the next year? We've had Columbia College host, USC, and then the city through the library. We're happy to convene another one on the city, but we do like sharing the love across.
Let me talk to the people that made that decision. I'll see what we can.
Awesome. We'll follow up separately. Thank you so much. Awesome. Well, with that, Mayor, I'll turn it back to you for final words.
Well, I think we've had another successful meeting. Obviously, a lot's come out of it. We'll be able to dive down into more detail and work. I think one of the things as we get into the fall, we'll start really talk a little bit about creating some subcommittees and getting down into details. I think will be very helpful. So we'll be working on some of that communication. Next week, I like to comment, we've been successful. We have a little harder time getting Allen students to more engaged, so I look forward to working with you to get them out. We've done a better job. Benedict has stepped up. Some of that might be the student leadership, so we'll work closely. I'd love to get some more on-campus time with your students as well. But I do think it's important for seeing as we engage on the campuses. What we want to continue to do is engage with the campuses more, because I do think it creates that relationship. So we'll work on those details, and I want to thank everybody for giving their time and efforts. We got some follow-ups that you'll be hearing from us over the next several weeks. Thank you.
Yeah, I missed the last meeting.